Howdy, y'all. How you going? We are looking at a driving test in Australia, a real test. This sounds pretty crazy, and this was suggested to me a couple times very recently. I have Lithgow 11 again on Discord as the most recent one. I do appreciate this, and actually people have told me to look at this kind of thing way in the past as well. I just have never gotten to it. I actually think it's pretty interesting, as this can vary probably quite a lot depending on, where you take your driving test, who the instructor is, that type of thing, and of course, country to country as well. So I'm anxious to see how this is going to go. I'm going to assume it's more thorough than my test was. So I'll kind of elaborate that more as we go along. This is from a channel called Ajesh P. Jose, and this, of course, will be linked in the description down below. It's a nice long video because it really is a whole test. And the whole video, assuming it is a whole test, which it looks like it is 32 minutes. So right away, I could tell you that this test is more thorough than the one I did. Anyway, it'll be linked down there. Make sure to check them out. Let's see.
Okay, so today we'll be doing a reverse parallel park.
Okay.
And a curbside stop, which is like a hill start. I'm just going to say to you, turn left, turn right, or continue straight ahead.
Okay.
If I don't say anything, just keep on going straight ahead.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. What I'll get you to do, we'll pull out in front of this car, and then I'll get you to do a U-turn. We can't do a U-turn here because there's double yellow lines just there.
Okay.
But just go down the street here for a little bit, pull over and stop, do a nice safe U-turn for me, and then I'll start giving you directions, okay?
So, yeah, about the lines and U-turn, that's pretty accurate to what it's like here as well. It'll be interesting to hear some of the things, some of the guidance, if it matches like what I know here, or if it's, of course, different, which could very well be the case. I spy a Holden right in front of him, so we know we're Nas.
Now I have to go and stop there.
Just go down the street here a little bit, pull over and stop.
Okay.
When it's safe, I'll get you to do a U-turn,
Okay.
and then we'll come back down this way.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, that's how we're starting the test. Pull away, pull back to the curb, do a U-turn. Getting some maneuvers in right away, as you would expect. It is a driving test for your license, after all. I'm trying to think of the year I took mine. I want to say it was like 2007.
Just near the
maybe?
power pole, just pull over and stop there for me.
It's always fun to watch and remember as a teenager, man, like how timid they usually are, right? They're a little freaked out, right? They're a little anxious. Some, I'm sure some are very confident, but yeah, I mean, that's very typical, right? I think we were all a little timid and scared a little bit. Just, we didn't want to do anything wrong. I think everyone wants to pass their test the first time and get it
When
over
it's
with,
safe
right?
and you're ready, I'll get you to do a U-turn, please.
Okay, U-turn.
Yes, please.
Let's see how his first U-turn goes. Not bad.
And turn right at the first street.
This is so weird because it's the opposite side. So turning right is actually, a bigger turn, whereas I'd be just swinging over here in the States. Not bad. Wonder what kind of car we're in.
Just continue
That's hard to
straight
tell
ahead, thank you.
because we can't see much. If anyone knows, then you are a legend. I don't think many people are going to be able to tell. Sounds like a 4-cylinder, but past that, I don't know.
Turn left at the first street, please.
Okay, so interesting intersection, no stop signs here, and no stop light, but rather what would be a yield sign here. I noticed your guys' yield sign looks very similar, although yours says give way, whereas ours just usually says yield. So that's cool. Interesting difference. See Utes already, how cool. He is going so slow, by the way. Not to rip on the poor kid, but you could tell it's a teenager during a driver's test. You could just tell. He's going very slow and almost like in slow motion. The Garbo truck. I love that Toyota Ute right there. It's kind of cool. All right, so we're taking a right.
Yeah, just continue straight ahead, thank you.
Tire power. Oh, that's right. You guys spelled tire weird. And a first roundabout. How's he handle the roundabout? Here we go. I like roundabouts, man. I wish we had them everywhere. I wish they were more common. They are in Wisconsin. I love going up to Wisconsin. They're everywhere there. But not in Illinois. There's just
Turn to
a
the
couple here
right
and
for
there.
me, please.
I like the roundabouts. Some people hate them. I love them. Another one. I like it. I like it. Oh, okay, good. He was cautious because that guy could have been coming around. He didn't just swing in there. He's doing good. He's going kind of slow, but that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're not too slow. Because I think too slow can be dangerous too. Too fast is dangerous. I think too slow is dangerous. First stop sign. I don't know about the first. But it's a stop sign. Chemist. Ours would just say pharmacy, as it does say down there. This is an automatic. I was trying to tell. I just thought, I was like, I wonder if this vehicle is an automatic or a manual. It sounds like an automatic 100%. Now, do they make you take, or learn rather, like a formal class on manual transmissions in Australia or New Zealand for that matter? I can't remember if people have told me that or not. Just go ahead and tell me in the comments. Or is that something you just kind of learn on your own? Or is it like optional? I know I think some countries like make you practice on a manual. Here in the States, of course, all the cars are going to be automatics. Although it depends on the school. My driving school had automatics and manuals. And only the automatic cars were mandatory. You had to learn how to drive. Duh. That's what you're there to do. But they also had one or two manual transmission cars. And that was optional. So you didn't have to take that class, but it was optional. And you could take that, and then you're like really certified. Like you have a license, and you are registered as you learned on a manual. So it was kind of cool they had that. But it's not mandatory here. And funnily enough, I love manuals. I own manual transmission cars. Usually at most points in my life I have. But, I didn't actually take that class. I just learned on my own, with family members. So, oh my God, there was a bug in there. Jeez. Is that part of the class? How to handle a bug in your car? It looked like it was on the inside of the windshield to me. What if it's jumping at you, right? How do you handle that in a driving test? That's something I didn't have to deal with. That'd be a... What about an Australian spider? Like, what if a huntsman is in there? What's the... how do you handle that in a driving test? That would be kind of funny. Like a funny question, right? Oh, I heard a ding. What was that? Maybe the GPS or something?
You have entered a school zone.
Oh. Okay, so enter the school zone. I hope the kid knows the rules on this. This would obviously play a part in the test. I didn't have to go through a school zone, I don't think. And obviously, I would imagine that changes the speed limit, right? Like it does here. Speed limit might be like 35 miles per hour. And then once you enter that school zone, the school zone speed limit is like 15 miles per hour or 10 or something. And, you got to maintain that until the sign says it's done. Now, there are hours associated. Some school zones, will have the hours marked where, of course, if it's late at night or something, then, that school zone doesn't necessarily apply. But most days, especially weekdays, that's going to apply pretty much all day. There's that fly or whatever that is. Oh, my God, that's crazy. How unlucky to have that in there during your driving test. That's just no fun. You don't want to be dealing with that. You got enough on your mind. It's going so slow.
You have left the school zone.
Oh, you know what? Actually, he's not going too slow, considering he had to wrap all the way around.
You have entered
I thought he was
school
going
zone.
straight, but he's not. And actually, he is still in the school zone. I wasn't aware of that, so he's doing good then. Oh my God, that fly is still down there.
Okay, now we're going to do a
going
curb
crazy.
stop like a hill start. Just pull over to the curb just after the bin here. So,
Ooh, we have a house up for auction, and it's been sold. Sorry. Okay, so he's doing a pull over on the curb.
I want you to show me how you would leave the car parked if you were going to leave it here for a couple of hours. When
Okay.
you've done that, you can then switch the car off, please.
So they are on a slight downhill, it appears. So what does he do? Obviously, if he's not automatic, you know, he's going to want to set the handbrake or parking brake, put it in park, of course. And he's going to want to have the wheels turned if he's on an uphill. I'll give you a second answer, even though I can't hear you guys. He's going to want to have the wheels turned, of course, to the right in this instance. Sorry, I'm reversing my mind because you're driving on the opposite side from what I'm used to. So, yeah, he's uphill. He would want it turned away from the curb. So, yeah, therefore, it's going to just go right into it if the car would happen to roll. If he was turned the other way, it would swing out. So, yeah, that's no good. And, of course, downhill, you would want it pointed towards the curb, the wheels. The front wheels, by the way, steering wheels.
That's okay.
Start recording.
So hopefully he did that correctly. I'm not sure. The video cut off there.
You can go straight now.
Straight ahead, thank you, yes. Keep on going straight ahead, please.
Okay, good on him. He slowed down for the railway. Of course, multiple reasons. Always look to your left or right. Make sure there's no trains coming. And then also, those can be really rough. Some roads are nice, but some roads with those railroad crossings, you know, they're just like, they're worn out and warped, and they can really beat up your car. You really feel those. So, yeah, you don't want to be cruising over those. I feel like it's going to do some damage over time. I always slow down for those because I think you should. But, of course, sometimes you get, you know, goofballs behind it that are all mad that you slow down for that. It's like, dude, I'm not going to hit this fast for you, you know? Like, I'm not going to beat up my car. No.
Straight.
I'm a fan of going slow over those. Look at the Holden store. That's cool. And Macca's, although it says McDonald's. All right, I wonder what's going to happen up here. He's got to turn right at this side street. Ooh, that was a very slow turn. Although there was a
We're going
dip.
to do a reverse parallel park.
There was a
The
dip.
third car,
There it is. The dreaded parallel park.
the white one,
Okay.
pull up at the side of it and do a reverse parallel park.
I remember
Please.
my friends and I at that age were not looking forward to that in the driving test. For some reason, that was like the boss battle, man. The dreaded parallel park. Although he doesn't have to do it in between two cars.
Okay, take your time, there's no rush. You tell me when you finish the park.
Okay.
So I will wrap up this video with story time about my driving test. But I think this kid, you know, every driving test is different. I think this kid got pretty lucky. He's had a pretty good test. Nothing too crazy. I think he's done well. And for the parallel park, we'll see how he does. I think he's doing all right. He has a one car here, but as far as I know, there wasn't any car behind that Touareg there, right? Or at least not for a humongous distance. So not a really hard parallel park where you have to actually squeeze it between two cars. That's pretty hard when you're a rookie, you know? Not bad. Not bad.
Switch off.
Now you tell me when you're finished.
Yeah, I finished.
Okay, very good. When you're ready, continue straight ahead for me, thank you.
Not bad. Bravo. And it's funny, as you get older, like parallel parking to me is actually not that hard at all. The only thing that sucks is not the maneuver itself. It's just when you're trying to do it and then there's cars coming like everywhere behind you and coming from the other way. It could be a little stressful. But as long as they're nice, hopefully that's the case, then it shouldn't be an issue. Just seems like a lot of people are always in a hurry nowadays on the road. It's
left at the first street, please.
kind of annoying after a while. Was he on the wrong side of the road? Or is this a one-way road? No, look at the cars facing this way.
You have entered a school zone.
Now, to be fair, he corrected it fairly quickly, and there was no one coming, thank goodness. But is that something, is it just kind of up to the instructor here? Is that something they're going to dock, or is that just something they're going to be like, whoa, for a second, and then just not worry about? It's kind of interesting, right? Anywho, that's going to do it for this one. That wasn't bad at all. That wasn't bad at all. I mean, for me, and this doesn't go for all tests, and definitely doesn't go for the American standardized driving test, I think the standard American test that would be thoroughly executed would be very similar to this. Not too hard, not too easy. Just, pretty good and thorough enough, right? Probably not the most thorough in the world, but definitely a decent one that covers the basics. Now, in my case, I got lucky, right? So I don't actually, that was a long time ago. I don't remember who the instructor was. I'm not going to shout out where it was or anything, but it was very easy. I got lucky. Now, my driving school, I had some very easy instructors as well that would rotate. And so some of my classes had some more intense, you could say, driving tests. And this was not my actual license one. This was just in preparation on a learner's permit, right? Going through driving classes. Some of them I had to do like the really hard parallel parking and some other things, just a lot of random maneuvers and go through a lot of traffic jams and stuff like that. So that was a thing. Of course, most of the tests during the permit period were just literally running errands for the instructors. Pretty funny. Yeah, I'm sure some people have had to do that. When it came to the nitty-gritty, to the day of the license, the actual day where school's done, you are going for that license. I had the written exam part or whatever, and I think it was on the computer at that point. And I believe it was 30 questions, 28 or 30, and it was actually pretty easy. I'm not going to lie. I passed that. I think I got like 29 right. I think I only got one wrong. And I think they give you a grace of like 1 or 2 questions you can get wrong and pass. I can't remember, but I passed that. But then when it came to the driving portion, as we were watching here, I got super lucky, I guess. Lucky is just from my perspective. Yeah, you want to be thorough so people know what they're doing, of course. But from the teenager perspective, I felt lucky because all I had to do is basically, I don't know how this happened, other than I think I went like half an hour before the place closed, and maybe that helped. I was at the DMV pretty late, and they... Pro tip, go before it closes. They had me drive literally around this little downtown area, not a big city, and they just had me go basically in a circle. Had me drive like 4 blocks, and they had me park up against the curb with no cars there, and then I backed into a driveway, or I pulled into a driveway rather at a house, pulled back out, and then went back, and that was it. There was no hill parking, hill starts. There was no, parallel parking. There was no long 30-minute drive like this was. Mine was literally, I think, 6 minutes, if that. It was easy. So I got my license first try, and I've had it ever since. But yeah, that was a cool idea for a video. I actually dug that. It's kind of neat. I like that. So more stuff like this would be really fun from Australia, New Zealand, lots of countries. I think it's interesting to look at stuff that we all go through, but it's slightly different in different regions, and I think it's kind of fun. Of course, getting a license is just a very iconic and, really impactful day in a lot of people's lives. I know some people are more reliant on cars than others. Some people drive a lot, some people don't. But in my case, of course, being an American, driving is a very big deal here. It's pretty much essential. Yeah, it was definitely getting that license. As a car guy, I was excited, right? I get to drive for real now, get to drive by myself. I get to feel like I really grew up, And of course, that's your freedom. It unlocks a whole new world out there that you can drive around. It's pretty cool. So yeah, if you would like to share your comments on the Australian driving test, how relevant was this to yours? Let me know your stories. How easy was it? How hard was it? Some stats like that. Of course, wherever you're watching from, how does it compare to this? And maybe some ideas related to these kind of videos that you would like to see or that we can gather up in the future. I think that'd be pretty fun. So yeah, throw a like on there if you enjoyed this. Subscribe to be part of this amazing community we do have here. That's about it for this one, guys. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker, and until next time, stay safe out there on the roads, and I'll catch you later.